So far that the government is not prepared to fund a high-speed Channel Tunnel rail link with taxpayers' money. She told MPs that a colossal subsidy was needed and that Britain shouldn't subsidise international rail services.
The developers of the high-speed rail link planned between the Channel Tunnel entrance at Dover and London want a massive injection of public money to keep the project alive. But in the last few days, ministers and officials have been making clear the government's not in the mood to sign what they fear could be a blank cheque to guarantee construction. And today in the Commons, Mrs Thatcher gave her most outspoken comment on the subject in reply to a question from an MP opposed to the project.
We don't subsidise international air services or international ferry services, and therefore we do not believe that we should subsidise this international rail service.
Labour says that's a disaster.
Well, it does appear to confirm that Britain is no longer going to have a kind of 21st railway system, the high speed that they enjoy already in Europe, because they built them with a combination of public and private money.
Some MPs believe the government will veto money for the link, but find more to improve existing south-east services, thus speeding up the journey to the tunnel. But supporters of the link contrast the British attitude with that of the French, who today announced a 190 billion franc investment to enable French trains to cruise at 185 miles an hour. Ministers meet on Thursday before Cabinet to decide on government policy on the rail link. Peter Allen, ITN,
Westminster. A Channel Tunnel high-speed rail link with taxpayers' money. And her Transport Secretary Cecil Parkinson confirmed that existing plans for the link are being scrapped.
The Transport Secretary told this morning's Cabinet meeting that British Rail would go ahead with a high-speed link once there was sufficient demand to make it economic. In the meantime, railways in the south-east would get an extra £1 billion to improve services, as part of a total investment of £2 billion for better rail and road connections to the tunnel. In the House, the Prime Minister crossed swords with Mr Kinnock over the government's decision not to provide a further £2 billion in grants and soft loans for the link.
When the French are building their fast rail link, why isn't she even at the stage of planning ours?
Well, that's another quick £2 billion, Mr Speaker, to which the right honourable gentleman has committed besides £2 billion just like that.
Later, Mr Parkinson said the benefits were outweighed by the costs, which might have escalated even further.
There would be great pressure on the government to increase its already substantial contributions. I've therefore informed the parties that the proposals they've made are unacceptable.
This is the result of the government's anti-rail, anti-passenger attitude, and will condemn Britain to the economic periphery of Europe.
Other MPs said it meant more misery for the people of Kent. Mark Webster, ITN, Westminster.
Kent group opposing the link listened grimly to Cecil Parkinson's statement this afternoon. For them, what he had to say was the worst of all possible worlds.
The link has not been abandoned. It's merely been suspended until such time as British Rail can either find the finance or concoct the figures to raise enough money to pay for, obviously, a very, very expensive link.
In the meantime, they say, villages like South Darenth, one of the last in Kent the link would go through, are in a state of limbo. They've opposed the plan all along, but villagers say the damage has already been done. BR bought about 300 houses in preparation for the link. They're now renting them out to short-term tenants. As a result, in the community centre, the talk is of how South Darenth has changed beyond recognition.
The village will never ever be quite the same again, possibly in my lifetime.
So many people have moved out who didn't really want to go. Old people who were quite happily settled in their homes, and family homes that have been in their families for generations, they've had to move.
Today's announcement means others in Kent will still find it impossible to sell their homes. For many villagers, the link will continue to cast a shadow over their lives for some time yet. Stuart Maister, ITN, Kent.